Hello, and welcome to COP30 in Brazil. We're in the heart of the Amazon, live from High House for the COP30 Sessions. Climate distress is high, and good news can feel hard to find. But is the reality not too bad? In a new book, one of the world's leading experts on climate change argues there are very good reasons to be optimistic. I'm delighted to be joined by Ani Dasgupta, President and CEO of the World Resources Institute. He's the author of The New Global Possible, Rebuilding Optimism in the Age of Climate Crisis. Ani, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, a simple question to start, although not necessarily the easiest one. Are we actually okay?
We are getting better, but we are not okay. We are far from okay. Climate change itself produced billions of dollars of loss last year. 500,000 people died because of climate change. So we are not okay. But the good news is we are making progress. From Paris to now, we actually are, we've reduced Paris, we were going to 4 degrees. Right now we are 2.8 degrees. So we're making progress, not fast enough, not at scale enough. But the better news is that the technology we need to make this change is out there at a price we can afford. But the question is, why is it not happening everywhere? That's why this COP is called the Implementation COP. No, we are not okay, but we know there is a path forward to make it better.
Great, and I think this leads us on to the motivation behind you writing your new book.
Absolutely. My motivation is very straightforward, is that there's a lot of gloom and doom in our world, especially this year, last year. There's a lot of global instability that's going on that making people feel, we're not making progress, that countries can't come together and work together. For climate, we need to do that. And in my research, my work, my talking to 100 people across the world, my conclusion is yes, it is actually. We should be disappointed with this moment. But this is not the whole picture. For 3 reasons. One is, look at the progress we have made. We actually have climbed really enormous mountains to get here. 20 years back, we didn't know how to count carbon. Now UN can talk about this much gigaton, that much gigaton. It's a currency. Second, technology exists. Actually, this is very important. Technology exists even better than what people expected in Paris. Solar, wind technology, even people like us, who are normally optimistic, did not predict where we are with solar and wind technology. Solar and wind technology became price competitive with fossil fuel in 2018 and 19. And everyone said, oh no, nothing. Now the batteries, nothing with battery prices. Battery prices are 10 times cheaper today than it was 3 years back. And the markets predict it'll be 10 times cheaper in 6 months. That's where technology is. So that's very good news. And the third good news is that from the big developing countries, the emerging Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Kenya, for them, their economic prosperity, energy security, and climate change or climate is aligned as one equation. So you see in this COP that these countries are actually taking leadership. So there are a lot to be optimistic about if you look at the big picture. But I think we all should be outraged where we are at this moment.
And now, just delving a little more into your book, you've got over 60 stories in there. Which one is your favorite?
My favorite story is actually a very small story in outskirts of Nairobi. And the reason it is favorite of me is this is the kind of things we need to do over and over again. So I met these 3 women just outside Nairobi who actually have a macadamia nut business. They work with about 10,000 farmers, help them grow macadamia trees. When the trees get sick, they provide them technical assistance. Most importantly, when the fruits are ripe, they go there and buy them and immediately through M-Pesa, pay them. So here is first 10,000 family, 50,000 people getting employment, predictable employment. They bring the fruits back to Nairobi. They have a small factory. They employ mostly women workers, and they process the macadamia nuts, sell it to Europe and to the United States. This itself would be a good story. But this is not what's the most interesting part of the story. The most interesting part of the story is these trees that live for 50 years. Their roots are bringing back water in degraded land. Africa has the most degraded land in the world. Africa's population, 55%, is directly connected to land. So they're bringing back land back into circulation. These trees actually are absorbing carbon. So this is good for nature, good for carbon, and very good for people. The best part of the story is these three women got a small loan from a project we are part of. But now they don't need loans from us. They are commercially viable. This little engine of change that is doing people, nature, climate together is what we need 1,000 times over across the world. So that inspires me to see things are happening. Only if it will be only be durable, and that's my finding in the book, if it's good for people. They will support the change we need if they see that these actions are good for their livelihood.
That is a powerful story of optimism, but on the flip side, what makes you pessimistic?
I think we are failing in two areas that makes me think one is solvable, one is a little more complicated. So we have technology in our favor, economics is in our favor. That these, at least energy technology is cheaper than fossil fuel technology. Where we're failing is technology itself doesn't produce good. My book is about what are we learning when we do good outcome. What we're learning is you have to make it good for people, but to do that, you have to orchestrate change. You have to bring technology, the public, the government policy, the financiers, the users together to create an orchestration of real change on the ground. So even today, there are a lot of places we are producing renewable energy that doesn't get into the grid. There's no use of renewable energy, no one uses it. So we need to orchestrate better. And my book is a contribution to learning from 65 stories what successful orchestration looks like. I personally think that knowledge exists, we can learn it. The second place we are failing is the politics of transition. We have a 200-year-old economy that's based on fossil. Everything you and I, everyone does here is connected to fossil. Not just energy, not just cars. The shampoo you used this morning, I'm guessing you did, uh, actually has fossil fuel in the bottle that was made in it. The food you ate, the fertilizer were made of fossil fuel. All this economic transition we need to do. Imagine we have to change a 200-year economy in 25 years. The politics of that is not working in favor for us. One, we are not figuring out how to make it good for people. And second, which is the obvious one, the incumbent of this economy and fossil fuel producers, they're not the only ones though. They're doing everything possible to slow down the change. And we have to recognize that. We have to work with them, bring them in. Just because I wrote a book, they're not going to pack up and leave, right? So we need to work on how to get the political process going for the transition. To be honest with you, Mao, we see across the world, at least especially in large developing countries, how the political process align with this change.
Now, one thing we haven't been able to get away from, a story to come out of COP is the absence of the American delegation this year. How does that make you feel?
You know, I have two feelings about this. Fun, have worked historically very closely with the American leadership. And the American leadership historically has been a real positive force for change and ambition in COPs. Even before Paris, I don't think Paris COP would have happened if President Obama and President Xi didn't actually come a year early and talk about their NDCs, encouraging others to be ambitious. So United States has played a very important role of bringing people together, pushing people together. At the same time, so I have a lot of positive experience. Right now, the administration thinks climate change is a hoax and it's not the right thing to do. It's a waste of money. So in that context, them not being here may be a good thing and not disruptive. And I think the best thing is look around. Countries across the world are here and they believe in multilateralism. I think we'll have a successful COP with or without the United States.
Now, obviously, we'd like people to go and buy your book as a result of watching this interview, but just in case, what would you want your key takeaway for the audience to be?
First of all, I hope people go and buy a book. So thank you for
Absolutely.
mentioning that. I think my big message is the path we are on right now is not producing the results we want. But there is another path absolutely possible. We have the knowledge, we have the technology. The things we need to do is first, we need to focus our attention to the sectors that are critical to further transition, which I think the energy sector, the food sector, and cities. Second, we need to focus on not just technological change, but orchestration so it's good for people. Third, we really need to focus in the large middle income countries because these countries actually have the seed for real change and positive change because they need it. But more importantly, they actually have the largest amount of people in the world live in this country. Largest number of poor people in the world live in these countries. But most importantly, these countries will produce more than 50%, 60% of emission from now till 2050. So if we can figure out how these countries can change, grow and reduce carbon at the same time, we will be on our path to actually changing the whole world towards a much better, cleaner, prosperous world for everyone.
Ani Dasgupta, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all we have time for today. You've been watching the COP30 Sessions live from High House. Thank you for watching.